So the reason your family moved to California was because of you.
Yeah.
And I'm like pointing. I'm like, don't point at her, please.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, my sister was on tour at the time, and we had planned, she, I believe, had booked Sunny with a Chance. So we knew that she was going to be living in LA at least.
She was
part-time.
sort of independent then.
Yeah.
Got it.
And, I had both my parents. My dad would usually go on tour with her. And then I also had my Aunt Lisa, who was like another mom. So I basically had like 3 parents. So they would all kind of switch off, and someone would take one of the siblings to LA, and while my mom stayed with me in Texas, or however we worked it out.
That's really cool though, because we talk about displacement, but it seems like you do have to make it work if you were going to be in in a different state that way. Like that's great. So your Aunt Lisa, were you really close with her then?
Yeah, we're still very close. Yeah, she lives in Texas now, but she lived with us basically my entire childhood.
She was kind of like, not a nanny, but like she was your family member that was like your village.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And so she took me to set a lot. Half of the time it was my mom, and half the time it was my Aunt Lisa. And so she got to experience everything with me. And it was great having an extra level of support and an extra family member that I could go to and that I trusted, and it was like having an extra parent.
I was gonna say, but was it different with Lisa than it was with your mom? Like when you went to Lisa for certain versions of support?
Yeah,
she
definitely.
Is your aunt? I mean, or how did that work? Really curious.
Yeah. Actually, she's not technically my aunt,
right?
But I always called her that because that was the closest thing. That was the best title that I could give her, and her and my mom were very different. So Lisa was like loud and crazy and didn't care what people thought, and my mom was more like conservative in the way that she was like, okay, you need to behave in public and not do crazy things. And my Aunt Lisa would, like, I would dress up as a cat or like a reindeer around Christmas time, and she would take me into public like that, just like on random days. So I had the best of both worlds, really. So I had my mom teaching me how to be a professional, and then I had my Aunt Lisa to go to, and I just wanted to let go and be crazy and just act a fool.
Did you like being on set? Like, did you feel like you could kind of just have fun and stuff?
Yeah, no, being on set was amazing. I was very lucky. I mean, I've had bad experiences on sets too, and once I had those bad experiences, it made me realize how lucky I was on Desperate Housewives to have such an amazing crew. All of the other actors were so kind, and Eva was always looking out for me, and the crew was always trying to take care of me.
That's
and
nice.
It was a really, really great experience. It felt like a family. I was raised by a whole village of people. Not only did I have like an extra parent with Aunt Lisa, but I had like 30 people with me at all times, like checking in on me and basically helping to raise me. Because I believe, from age 6 to 10, which is the years that I was on the show, those are very important developmental years in a kid's life.
Crucial.
Yeah. So
crucial. Yeah.
While living on a set at the time, maybe, I don't want to say messed me up in some ways, but definitely I grew up differently than the kids around me.
Skewed your perspective.
Absolutely. That's a great way of putting it. Yes.
Skewed.
Yeah. But I also, I had a lot of support, and I had a lot of people that cared for me and wanted to look out for me. And
and that's the thing, is I think like we think of child stars and stuff, and we're just like, oh, where did there's on sets, people aren't like kind of implicated. They're bystanders, but when there's a child on the set, like that is an extra layer of consideration.
For sure.
You got to watch your language, and especially because, Desperate Housewives was ABC, which was very much connected to Disney at the time.
Right.
I feel like the networks are a little different now, in that they've really, they've done some very different things.
Yeah.
So they're not as Disney-fied. But I remember back then, Desperate was definitely, it was a part of the magic.
For sure. For sure. Yeah. There was a lot of, I remember I don't remember if it was a table read or I don't remember exactly why, but I went to do something for Desperate, and it was in the Disney building. And I remember as a kid being so confused. Like, I didn't understand.
The green one? The Disney Channel building?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I remember because there's like one of the floors is, or maybe not now, but was dedicated to ABC. And I remember that was the day that I learned that they were intertwined. And I just remember as like an 8-year-old, I didn't understand. I was like, why are we in the Disney Channel building? This is like, but yeah, they were very much intertwined.
They were. And so it's also kind of interesting because on Desperate, what I remember is that the media was really pitting a lot of those ladies against each other. Like they stoked that
for sure
all the time in the media. And it almost became louder than the show itself at one point.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if you had such a positive experience, it doesn't surprise me because I think like those women, some of them are probably moms and others not, but it's like it's a female focused show.
Yes.
So the village that's raising you is probably a lot more maternal.
Absolutely.
To the few children on set, you know, rather than it be sort of like a show about like athletic fighters. And like
exactly.
Wearing affliction shirts and stuff. It's kind of like not the same vibe.
Yeah. No, it was great. I was very lucky in that sense.
Good.
And they were very, very maternal and very caring.
So then how has it been since then in general? Like what are your thoughts on being in the industry and like living here in California or just like, to start?
I don't really know anything else. I don't know not being in the industry. It's been my entire life, and a lot of most all of my friends are actors or in the industry in one way or another. So it's kind of all I'm surrounded by. Mm-hmm. And I do see how all of my friends and myself have been affected by it.
Okay.
And how it's changed us a little bit. We definitely don't think the same way as other young adults who are not in the industry. We're definitely very work focused and very, we work really hard and we're very much like professionally minded. We're all like constantly thinking about the next opportunity and how we can work together and help each other. That's something that I really do like about being in the industry and being surrounded by people who are also in the industry is we're constantly thinking, oh, like, can we write a script together? Can we do a project together? Oh, I'm writing a script. I'm making a short film. Do you want to be in it? And like, we're very collaborative. And I do really appreciate that. That has been really fun.
What I found about like being in LA in sort of my 20s or my earlier 20s too, it's like I've realized that I was starting to fall in love with storytelling and trying to direct. Mm-hmm. And so now we did talk briefly about before the interview about AFI. We have a lot of really awesome crew members that went to the American Film Institute. My husband went there and I got waitlisted twice. But I mean, I was very intrigued by being in command of the set because I'd grown up on sets and whatnot, right? And so sometimes it's like, especially if you did have a mixture of experiences, it's like, what am I going to be able to do on my set? Like if I'm going to direct or produce, like I want to be the change.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, that's exactly why I wanted to start writing and eventually decided to start directing because I saw a lot of things, especially in casting, that really, really bothered me.
Can you like elaborate on that?
Yeah. One of the main things that just absolutely drove me crazy was when you get an audition notice, and for me specifically, like I was only allowed or only sent auditions that specifically said all ethnicities welcome or specifically said Hispanic, Latina. And that really, the sentence all ethnicities welcome really actually bothered me because it was clear that they wanted a token minority. They didn't care what minority it was. They just wanted that token minority just so they could check the box.
Yeah, that's shitty.
Yeah. There was no authentic storytelling. There was no trying to like get people's stories heard and show people different cultures and different backgrounds. There was none of that. It was just checking a box. And that really bothered me. And so I did quit acting for a few years because I thought there's just no way I'm going to be able to make the change that I want to see if I'm just purely acting. Like I need to get behind the camera and I need to start writing my own story and eventually, you know, that really worked out for me. I love being a director. I am acting again now.
Good. I've noticed on some of your social media, like you're filming certain things, you're doing photo shoots. Like I feel like things are on the horizon.
Yes. I'm trying to get myself out there a little bit.
Thanks so much for checking out this clip for the Vulnerable Podcast. For the full episode, go ahead and check out my YouTube channel. That link is in the description. Thanks again.